everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for really fun and interesting interviews. Today, I'd like to share with you a conversation I had with my friend and neighbor, Maya McNulty. She is a COVID survivor, an author, and speaker. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Awesome. Well, hi Maya. Thank you so much for talking with me. Like I said, I've been following your story on Facebook, and it's just so amazing. Can you start first by just telling us a little bit about like your background, like how you grew up?
Sure. Hi, Jen, and thank you so much for having me on your YouTube channel. This is really cool. And we're neighbors, so that's really even more interesting. I feel like we're the kids. They're texting us from upstairs saying, "Can you bring me a sandwich?" So, so just the funny thing that you're in the neighborhood, I could say, "Hey, can I have some milk? Can I borrow some milk?"
Exactly.
So,
We'll talk about
um,
the house later.
yeah. So here's a little backstory about Maya. Maya McNulty. I've lived in Niskayuna in our neighborhood for about 20 years. Our children grew up going to Niskayuna. My daughter played soccer. My daughter's studying medicine right now at the University of Colorado Boulder and is on internship at Cedars-Sinai in Beverly Hills in California. She'll be a senior coming up in August, and so she'll be returning to Colorado to finish her senior year. So we're so really proud. And,
So exciting.
last year was a year that I thought, I didn't even think really, because nobody knew about COVID and the pandemic. And I had to actually Google what a pandemic was because I had no idea what it was. I've never lived through one. I knew what an epidemic was, but I never knew what a pandemic was. So I had to, it's not like we all are 100 years old and we lived through the 1918 pandemic of the Spanish flu. So I'm sure I wasn't alone. And then also the coronavirus and why it was called the coronavirus. And when I had came in contact with it, what was at the gym. And I knew that the radio station and the news, which I don't watch TV much, so I wasn't really paying attention, but I would turn on the news as we are in the car, the radio, and listen to the news there. And a lot of things I read is on like Newsbreak or, you get some news from Facebook or social media. And I do a lot of online newspapers and things of that nature. So that's where I get my news. And I didn't really pay attention to what the coronavirus was. And as we know today, it nationally devastated the world. Over 600,000 people have lost their lives. And there's so many more that have to live through it every day. It's so painful. And for me, last March, I knew that there was March of 2020. I knew that there was two people at my gym in the group classes that had gotten COVID. And I did not pay attention because I wasn't doing the group classes. I was doing weights and like the treadmill and the elliptical and actual bench weights. So I wasn't in those classes. So never really like, it's not going to get me. Well, long and behold, this particular day, March of 2020, 13th, I said to the guy at the front desk, I'm going to change it up today. And he's like, oh, what are you going to do? And I had I joined in January. So there was 3 months and I was that girl that went 3 times a week. And I said, oh, I'm going to do my arms because I've been traveling and my arms are a little weak. And I'm going to do the chair massage because I've been traveling and my neck kind of hurts a little. So I'm going to work it out on the massage chair. And then I'm going to treat myself to the sauna. Well, in the sauna, Jennifer's where it was waiting for me. And it literally attacked my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my skin, every being, my ears, any which way that it could enter my body, it did. And it's invisible. It's invisible. So you would not be able to see it. But I knew when I went into the sauna, something was terribly wrong because the air was different. I was having a hard time breathing. I was in there, and when you go into a sauna, you're like doing that deep breathing for relaxation. And so that's where I found myself doing. And every breath I took was close to my last breath, and I did not know that. So I left the gym, and it was a nice day out that day, and fall cleanup, or spring cleanup I should say. My husband never does a fall cleanup because there's so many leaves in our neighborhood, so many trees. And so when we had gotten a really good day, he said, I'm going to clean up some of these leaves and I'm going to do some lawn work. So he did, and he was outside getting the yard waste out. And I said to him, honey, I do not feel well. I'm going to go lay down for a minute. And I went to lay down, and the body chills, the fever, the dehydration, it all started. It hit me so fast. And again, it's because it went into every vessel of my body and my being. And when I woke up the following Saturday, my husband, I didn't even eat that night. He brought me food, and I just said I was really dehydrated. So he made me chicken noodle soup, or some type of a soup. And I didn't have the appetite to eat it. I had lost my taste and smell. I couldn't really hold the bowl. I was just like, oh my God, I have no strength. So I said to him, you know what, I'm going to go to the emergency room. And in the morning, my husband woke up and went to work. So I did not really have a conversation with him, but I didn't feel well. So he stayed on the couch, and I stayed upstairs in the bedroom. And thank God he did, because had he come up to bed, he would have gotten this COVID thing really terrible. My husband's older than me, and at the time it was just elderly. So it was said that how was it going to affect young people? And here I am, a young 47-year-old female, never had any prior medical conditions. I'm very active, very fit. I swim, I hike, I exercise. I was at the gym, for Christ's sake, you know. And people will be like, well, did she have any medical conditions? And they're like, no, we have no history for her in the hospital. But that Saturday, after the Friday the 13th, the 14th, I went to the emergency room and I said, I don't feel well. And so they gave me 2 bags of IV, which meant my body was really dehydrated. So that should have been a clue right there. And I said to my husband, I called him at work because he had gone to work, and I said, I'm in the emergency room. I'm not staying. They're letting me out, but they put me on IV. And I need you to go to the CVS and pick up my prescriptions. They're giving me some prescriptions. They tested me for pneumonia. They did not have the I did not have the pneumonia. And then they tested me for coronavirus, which I had to plead for the test because it was very limited. And they too did not know what it was. That following Monday morning at 7 a.m., the Department of Health called, and they called the hospital, and then they called my primary care. My primary care had called me and said, indeed, you have tested positive for the coronavirus. We need you to quarantine for 14 days. But come by that Wednesday, I was dying from my feet up of respiratory failure. And my husband knew this because my body had already started to turn blue and I wasn't capable of walking anymore. My husband had to carry me down the steps to the car, gave me an ultimatum. He said, I'm either calling 911 and you're going by ambulance, or I'm carrying you down my back. So I said, well, honey, they always say you should go with fresh underwear to the emergency room. So let me at least change my underwear and put a bra on, because I had my pajamas on. And he's like, all right, whatever. And I had no strength, Jen, to change my underwear. So I went with dirty underwear to the emergency room. And my husband just, how you can pull in and it's like the valet. Well, there was no valet at that time because the world started to shut down. And by the time he parked the car and got into the lobby, I was already being 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She's going to sleep now. And my husband had to wait outside, and they told him to expect the worst, that they were going to ventilate me. And he was just shocked, like, what? And so he had to tell my parents and his parents, and every time they spoke, they knew that it was not a good day, and that he had said, which is painful still when I think of it, or even repeat the words, that my husband had to call our daughter and tell her from college during exam time to come home. and say goodbye to her mom. That's painful. And I can only imagine what a young kid can feel for their parent in such a, like, it was hard to get, like, the airlines weren't shut down yet, but it was hard to get like a flight to come home, and just to what were you waiting for? And every day they would wait. And I didn't even know my phone was this big, right? It's about a pound less than that. And I couldn't even lift it. I was in a coma. So I was in a coma for
Wow.
30 days, on a ventilator for 6 weeks. I was trached, and my lungs collapsed 3 different times.
Oh no.
And there were many times that the doctors had said I wasn't going to make it. And my husband would tell him that, how, you don't know my wife, she's a fighter. And she is going to make it. And my daughter would text, Mom, you're a badass. You can keep fighting, Mom. And then people from all over the world started to pray for me. It caught the attention of the White House and the task force and the governor and Dr. Fauci, because at the time it was just the elderly population and now a young female. And the second way that it caught the attention and changed the trajectory was anybody can get this virus and be deathly ill. And then the remdesivir was the drug that they used on me, which was a trial drug. And now to this day, during my recovery, even from my hospital bed, when I came home after 69 days, after learning to eat, walk, and talk again, I lost all my hair. I lost my
Wow.
voice for 7 months. I had in-home care with a nurse, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, 8 weeks of that, and then 10 weeks of outpatient physical therapy and voice. So my voice is back, and it's amplified. And it's my pre-COVID life. I was a speaker. I spoke on national stages around the world, and I did marketing and advertising. And my voice coach, speaker wise, not a pathologist, he would text me, and when I was in the hospital, and I'd be like, I can't move and I can't talk and I lost my voice. And he would say, you can never lose your voice. It's just impossible. And I would just be like, you know what, you're right. I'm not gonna ever lose my voice. I'm gonna amplify it any which way I can. And then I learned to see with my heart and not my eyes. And in doing so, it changed the trajectory of saving lives. And I started the COVID Wellness LLC, a nonprofit. And so it's been really remarkable, because I've been able to connect with people from around the globe. I've been able to participate in trial clinics to help other long haulers and long COVID survivors. A long haul, or a long hauler, is because there's long COVID and long haulers. A long hauler is a person who experiences the after effects of COVID 2 to 3 weeks after they've been out of the hospital, or their 14 days after they come off that 14 days. They don't necessarily have to have been hospitalized, but the symptoms have to last longer than 3 months to be classified and considered a long hauler. And I'm 15 months now. My go home date was May 28th of 2020. And so this whole experience of COVID has shifted my life. I call it the shift. Shift happens because I think in life, we do have many careers. As a teenager, they'll have 12 to 15 different careers. And you can talk to any career counselor for that. I feel that people even today, and as the pandemic has shifted a lot of people from a brick and mortar, to a remote working environment, that they're all reinventing themselves to learn new things and learn new ways of being, of living, of surviving. But I think as COVID long haulers, we're looking to even thrive in this new environment. So for me, I'm spending all the things I have learned my pre-COVID life speaking on national stages. And sometimes I have a list, or I never had that before, and the brain fog and stuff. I never had that. The tremors and vibrations, these are all after effects, the long haul effects. The scars, I used to have one on my chin from when I was being prone in the hospital, 14 to 16 hours a day. And then there's the trach and the ventilator scar. It's a reminder that it's my superhero cape, and it's not something that crutches me. I've been speaking a lot to people and different people about surviving, whether they survived cancer or COVID or AIDS or anything else. I originally thought I had AIDS of COVID, the coronavirus. I thought I wasn't going to be able to be touched by my husband or even be intimate or hold my kid again or hug her or my mom and dad. It took a lot for me to learn. And I remember being transported to from Ellis Hospital to Sunnyview Hospital. And in being transferred, I could hear them saying, when I got hooked up to the ventilator over at Sunnyview, that, oh, she has coronavirus. And I was still in a coma. I was coming out of it. And maybe about 10 days later, I was able to get out of it. And then I wanted to walk and I couldn't yet. I was being Hoyer lifted out of my bed onto a wheelchair. So I spent close to 2.5 months in a wheelchair to a walker, and then to a walker for 10 months, and then now a cane. But I've graduated from a cane too, so that's cool. I'm not able to wear real shoes yet though, Jen. That really upsets me. I can only wear like a sneaker type of shoe because of my balance. I haven't gained enough strength in my legs to wear, like, definitely not a high heel, but even a shoe that's like a Mary Jane type of shoe. I tried it a couple weeks ago and I wasn't able to. I lost my balance completely. I tried it on in my foyer and I said, something's not right. And I went to my kitchen and I held onto the counter and I said, well, if I'm going to fall, at least I can fall in my house. And I said, maybe it's just in my head and the balance thing. And but I took that step out of the garage the step out of the garage into the garage. And I'm like, whoa, I can't stand. I'm not balanced. And so I called my girlfriend. I'm like, you're not gonna believe this. I started to cry because I'm like, I can't wear shoes yet. Are you kidding? 15 months into my life here, fighting for recovery, and I can't wear shoes. So for people that, we look at the sky differently, we look at life differently. For people that think tomorrow's promise, it's not. And your life can shift at any moment. Just the privilege of wearing shoes could be something that could be taken away. Or holding your cell phone, the thing that we are so connected to. It literally is connected. I mean, if a surgeon could put it on us, they probably would. It's like it's like we're attached to our cell phone by the hip. So but just those things, like, I would advise people to call people up, forgive, let them know that you love them and they are seen, that they're enough. Know that you're enough. Know that you matter. Know that you are someone that can change the trajectory of someone's life who's having a hard day.
Yeah.
I'm able to sit up now independently, but when I got out of the hospital, I still needed help on the toilet. I needed help being showered. I needed help to eat, to carry my plate. Those things are simple things that most people will say, that's easy. But at one point in my life, at 47 years old, it was not.
Wow.
And you have to learn to receive help. If someone asks you, can I help you? You have to be able to receive it and accept it. And you just have to say yes and just say thank you. I feel that most people have their pride and ego in the way of their survival. I had to learn to rethink, and I've always been a positive person and always energetic and mindset positive. But those things can easily be dark days. I
Mm-hmm.
lost hope when I was in the hospital. I asked God to take my life. I didn't want to be a vegetable and burden my family. I didn't know that I didn't have a disease like a scarlet letter, that I will not be able to be intimate with my husband or hug my child or hug my parents. Those things would have crushed me. But that changed when I got more educated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that more people need to become more educated about this disease. And that's one of the forms that I take for long COVID.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's so
that's
amazing.
right.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it must be painful too just to go through the memories. And I don't think I got COVID, but I know that in the past year that there were definitely darker days as well. And I had never really struggled with mental health before, um but last year I did, you know. So I feel like it's just it's been a
Yeah.
very difficult year, and for many people, and we're very fortunate that like I personally haven't been as affected,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean that we can just assume, you know, some people say, oh, it's not real, you know, or
Hmm.
oh, it's okay, it's not gonna affect me, right? Like
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
um
there's
so you
there's
sharing your
definitely,
story is so powerful that when people hear that, like they can really take it seriously and say,
mhm.
you know, here's the precautions that we still need to take. I mean, thankfully it is getting better now in New York State as more people are vaccinated and my family's vaccinated, but I think we still have to be vigilant.
Yeah, you certainly do. I'm not the person to scare others,
Mm-hmm.
but I let my guard down and I let a virus, a disease come into my safe space, and it's invisible. It is invisible. It can affect everyone and anyone at any age. The new variants that are out, I believe that in fall of 2021, it will be worse. The variant of the black fungus from India and Indonesia, it is something serious to take a look at. The only reason I tell you this is because I have been researching and I've been in researches. And if we don't continue to wash our hands and stay vigilant at like social distance, washing our hands, wearing our mask, we might fall to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hate to see that happen. I know for me and my family, I take all the precautions necessary. There are people that say, well, if the vaccine works so well, why do you need a mask?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, if you touch your cell phone, which happens to be the dirtiest thing on the planet, more dirty than money in a toilet, and
Mm-hmm.
then you sneeze and you put your hand to your mouth, you have just put something in your mouth that's foreign, or in your nose or in your skin and those membranes. It isn't about right or wrong of what disease is and what it's not in your belief. It's common sense. It's
Yeah.
common sense. So protect your loved one. And until you're that close to losing a loved one, you really cannot empathize. Empathy is something that we all have, compassion, empathy. The difference is those who have experienced a severe illness or sickness, and it has to be a personal journey. So, for example, with me having COVID, my family has empathy. My husband can empathize and he has compassion. My daughter, the same. And my daughter did have COVID and she got it at school from the football team hanging out with the cheerleaders and the football game and stuff, right? But she was running 5 miles a day. It didn't affect her at all. She only lost taste and smell.
Mm-hmm.
I was not told that she had it until after because
Oh,
I was still going through recovery because she'd
yeah.
just gotten it in June when she came home after I got out of the hospital. So they didn't tell me because I would have freaked out.
They didn't want me to make you even more worried.
Yeah. So, but she didn't, she and her roommates all got it. And the boys, it was June 16th is when they got it a year ago. And they didn't tell me, but I was scared. I was really scared because I knew what I went through. I knew the pain. I knew the shards of glass that I felt in my body. I knew the pain, the hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't hurt like an emotional hurt. I was hurt from the pain. Um, I was hurt from not being able to be in control, of not being able to walk or talk or to pick
Mm-hmm.
up the phone to call my family, not being able to see my family because the hospitals were on shutdown for 69 days,
Yeah.
not being able to shower. I was able to be sponge bathed. I got 6 real showers before I was able to go home. And it's not the same, but boy, when I had that water touch my body for the first time, it was
Mm.
amazing. It was the most amazing shower I've ever taken in my life.
Mm.
I feel that people, you can empathize, but unless you've walked in those shoes, you cannot really truly have empathy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like someone that was beaten and abused. You've never felt their pain, so you can empathize, but you really truly cannot have empathy because you did not have that experience.
Right.
It's a sad way of looking at it. And when people say, oh, I empathize with you say thank you because they truly cannot unless they've been in your shoe to understand what your fight truly was. So the crap about I'm not getting the vaccine, there's no science behind it, there's no this, there's no that, that's on you. It's not on anyone else. I'm not here to give you advice on that. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. Your body is your body. You get to take care of your body the way that you want to take care of it. I pulled myself out of that equation by saying it's none of my business. My life is easier. My family is vaccinated because they saw the horror that they went through.
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst movie ever lived. So while people can empathize and have empathy and have compassion, they can never truly empathize. So for all those people that are lighting a candle at the table because their loved one is not with them, whether it be their children, their grandmothers, their grandfathers, their aunts, their uncles, their parents, their husbands and wives, they have a void that is so unfathomable that no one can truly feel that. Even they cannot feel that pain. They just miss that person.
Mm-hmm.
But they cannot feel that pain that that person has gone through to fight for survival.
Yeah.
It's a
So I
hard, hard thing.
So yeah, I think as you're talking about empathy, when kind of circle back to what you were talking about with the LLC with the nonprofit that you
Mm-hmm.
started,
Sure.
I think with that it's so powerful because as a COVID survivor, you do have that empathy, right? Like with the other folks who have survived COVID and are continuing to go through this journey. So
Mm-hmm.
can you speak a little bit about what you do with that organization and
Yeah,
how
I
you help
wish I had
people.
my little book with me next to me. I put down some really
um,
amazing things.
yeah,
So
I
one of
just
the
want to
things,
also help get the word out because people may need it, and then
yeah,
also for people to come
mhm.
together and support it as well.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. I'd love to speak on COVID Wellness Clinic. So to receive long COVID help, you can go to covidwellnessclinic.com. So it's covidwellnessclinic.com. And in that online course, you're able to have pulmonary care, cognitive recovery, and physical strength. There are a series of videos that you follow, some downloadables, and a structure to help you keep you motivated and inspired. The 21-day structure is a way for you to be able to follow your pulmonary care, your cognitive recovery, and your physical strength. And by doing that at least 2 to 3 times a week, you will start to see some improvements in your physical ability, your mental strength. I too lost my memory for a month when I came home from the hospital after 69 days, which I had my memory then, but it was really weird. I got home and I lost my hair, I lost my voice, I lost my memory. I'm like, what the frig is happening to me? And so I made sure that it was really important. I want long haulers to know it's not in their head, that you are truly feeling these symptoms, but there is hope. And you can go to covidwellnessclinic.com. You can join the free Facebook group, COVID Wellness Clinic. And we talk about all kinds of really cool stuff, and people share their stories. And we talk about relaxation and sleep, because a lot of COVID survivors, long haulers, suffer from insomnia, depression, anxiety. There's mental illness and mental health. There's two different things. We cover those topics. But inside of the course, covidwellnessclinic.com, there are 5 sections in each, and then there's downloadables. And then there's also a bonus section for ongoing support and ongoing information, because as long haulers, we know that we suffer from brain fog, and we know that we have to focus on one thing at a time. So we've figured out that if we added everything else in the bonus, as technology changes, as research has improved, we can add that in the bonus section, and you have access to it for life. There's also videos and downloadables in the bonus section, and a certificate of completion should you choose to use your flex pay from your insurance company to cover the costs of this program. 1. 2, you can submit it to your insurance for reimbursement, or your employer for reimbursement, so that they're compliant, because COVID long care will be a compliant issue for human resources in the future. That is something I'm advocating for, and I've been on the Congress floor for it. So it's only in due time that it will be something. Our program is copyright, so that no one else can take what we've written, and it's protected. So it is copyright by federal law. So that's the story behind the COVID Wellness Clinic. And we are just here to help as many long haulers, and nonprofit organizations like us are helping to eradicate the stigma of mental illness, mental health. We are helping to relieve the financial burden of medical expenses. We're also putting a portion of our money through science and research. So that's our mission statement of what we are doing with COVID Wellness. And I'm
so needed.
thrilled.
There's so many folks who need this.
I'm really thrilled that I was able to put this together from my hospital bed here in my living room. This is my living room. For people like you and me and everyone else that needs it, that's listening. And it will be something that human resources will be compliant to have for. It's just the same as silver sneakers as they're offering. It's just the same as mental health. And this is unprecedented territory, and they have to be able to incorporate in order to get this available to everyone that needs it. So we do have an outroll marketing plan. Thank God that's what I did in my pre-COVID life, because people say, you've done so much. And I'm like, well, I think it was God's plan to hook me up this way, because I know exactly the path to do it. And I'm also
all of your
writing a few books. Yeah, so I'm writing a few books and writing these things out. So, but I have time to do it. And the things that we're doing are really needed. And I have like this superpower dream team that's helped me to put this all together. So my dream team comprised of doctors, lawyers, yeah, pretty much doctors and lawyers.
Well, they're important.
Oh, and a couple publicists. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I'm totally thrilled that the team that we put together. And Jen, in 2022, we will host, COVID Wellness will host probably the first 2-day conference for post-COVID long haulers.
Oh,
We've
wow.
already
Hmm.
started it and planned it, and we'll have doctors from around the world, including Mayo Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, um, University, Indiana School of Medicine, obviously Ellis, Sunnyview, and Albany Med, the hospitals around here. So those are some of the things that we're working on behind the scenes. But the dream team that we've collaborated with, um, we're super pumped. One of the things that I want, though, is that if anybody wants to make a donation, we are starting a brick and mortar for COVID Wellness. Right now, we're just online, uh, given the situation with pandemic and people having the fear of going out and doing the things as we usually did in the normalcy. I think we're easing our way back with restaurants and
Hmm.
movies and bowling alleys and things of that nature, parks. But I feel that to go into a clinic is a big step because there'll be more people. But we are offering one-on-one therapy sessions,
Hmm.
and which is somebody that's registered. Although I feel like I have more knowledge than anybody, so I have my PhD in Maya. So yeah, so I know that people probably will want to work with me, but we will have doctors and nurses on staff. And we are and will be working with American Red Cross for plasma donations, and some other organizations too that I'm lining out. My pre-COVID life, I wrote a book about fundraising, and I happen to have been a part of the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and the Blind and the Boys and Girls Club and Girls Inc. and YMCA, and so I have a nice plug into that life of nonprofits, and so
Hmm.
it's been kind of cool. This was one of the first books that I wrote, which is my favorite quotes for entrepreneurs. It's an interactive guide
Oh.
to inspiration and empowerment. And then this is my second, which is fundraising secrets. And they both have been bestsellers. And so now I'm writing my third, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Wow,
I'm
that's
looking
so
forward to it all.
exciting. So for
Hmm.
people, especially young people, right? Like maybe college students or high school students who want to help, and maybe donation is definitely a great way. I think we'll drop the link in the description of this video
Uh-huh.
once we have that. But what can some people do? Like, is there volunteer opportunities? Are there internship opportunities that some maybe young people can help out with if they're really passionate about helping COVID long haulers?
Hmm. They certainly can. The best thing to do is to reach out to me because it's something that I still have to create is a job description. The
Mhm.
current thing that we're working right now is just the bylaws and the job roles, the descriptions for our board members and for staff. But I haven't quite gotten to the internship level yet. Uh, I'm basically a one-man show right now, even though I have a team working from out of my house. But eventually, we will be raising awareness. The first thing that I'm doing is the big symposium. Uh, that's the first thing that I'll be doing. That's going to be a big thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then we'll probably do a fashion show to show that it's not
Oh.
our stigma,
Mhm.
that we can overcome this. So that's a dual sponsorship thing that we're working on. But eventually we will be looking for more help, to reach out to other organizations. Right now, our clients are Fortune 500 companies such as Walmart and Target. Um, we're also working with MVP, CBPHP, uh, Humana, um, so Fidelis. So we're going to be getting this out into the world. But right at this moment, we're not really big yet, but we will
Yeah, no, I
be.
was just wondering,
We
like,
will
not
be.
necessarily like in with your organization, but I'm just thinking for folks who are watching, and they want to help, other
Mm.
things that you would recommend that people can do maybe in their own communities or
Sure.
like
I
what
feel
would
that
you recommend?
in your community,
Mm-hmm.
you should be the light. You should be the light in your community. You should, I know in my community here in Niski, and I have been the hope for many survivors, and it's gotten me a lot of publicity, um, which I don't take lightly because it's the work of the people. You have to, one, make sure that if you are going to go out in this field, it is a medical area, so you do have to have insurance, to make sure that you're in compliance. Um, and you won't be sued because people, it's medical. And if you give somebody some advice to say, hey, we should do this walk, and if they have heart palpitations and the cardiologist hasn't cleared them, or their physical therapist haven't cleared them yet, could be a problem. Long haulers is a different breed of survivors. We're the newest breed of survivors. And the way that we're going to be caring for them is going to be a little different than others. I love the saying survival of the fittest or the strongest, but I also love the saying that you're stronger than you know, or you're
Mm-hmm.
stronger than you think. So those are the things that I'm like, okay, if I work hard enough and be strong enough and I dig deep enough, I'll be able to make impact. If I just sit here and let it take over my brain negatively, then my positive light will dim and my hope will dim for others. And also, it's out of sight, out of mind. If you're not top in front, people forget. And so you have to constantly working to outwork. That's just my entrepreneurial drive and spirit that always gets me like, okay, you have to move, you have to do this, you have to do that, but you have to dot your I's and
Yeah,
cross your T's.
that's so
If you,
important.
if you want to help somebody in your capacity, call them, ask them how they're doing, text them, drop food off, say, hey, I'd like to drop off some pizza or have some pizza delivered, or whatever, dinner. Who's cooking dinner Friday night for you? Do something that's in your capacity. Send a book, send a magazine, send something that's like, let me know you're thinking of them. Draw a picture, draw a card, send a card. Do things like that. Let people know that you're there. Ask them, do you need a ride to the doctors? Things that you're capable of. Would you like to go to the park? I'd like to take you to the park and we could sit on the bench. You have to remember that long haulers, their heart palpitations, their body tremors act up, and you never know when it's going to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people might have fear that they might not be able to have the ability to know, not to react and not act, um, and react from fear. So it's important that they are versed either in CPR or first aid if they're going to take on any type of activity like that,
Yeah.
to protect themselves and the person that they're engaging with. Those would be some of my best tips.
Yeah, those are great suggestions. So last question, I know I don't want to keep you too long.
No
We talked
worries.
so long already.
It's
It's so
been fun.
exciting. So in your past job, but also your current job, you focus on marketing and fundraising and book writing. So I just want to ask for those who might be interested in that, whether you're already a professional and maybe want to change careers, or maybe you're a young person looking at different careers, what would your recommendation be for those folks who are interested in being a speaker or writing a book or doing marketing? What would you think is the right path to start pursuing that? Because I
Sure.
feel like it's not the standard, like, okay, I'm going to go to college and major in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, something I learned, and I even taught my daughter this, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang with.
Mm,
So if you want to hang out with speakers, if you want to be a speaker, hang out with speakers.
mm.
If you want to be a multimillionaire, hang out with multimillionaires. If you want to be a doctor, hang out with doctors. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. So there's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is do your research. See if it's for you. Write a structure. A structure is a 21-day plan. They say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So write out a structure. It takes 21 days to form a habit, 63 days for a ritual, which means you'll do the same things 21 days, then you rinse and repeat it for 3 times. So it'll be 63 days.
Ah.
In that 63 days, you will know if this is something that really inspires you. Does it get you out of bed? Does it excite you? Do you want to land your feet every day and wake up? I know I do. I wake up every day and say, okay, it's my mental checklist. I've got to get this, 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 and this done. And then I'm going to call one person to say, hi, how you doing? Are you doing okay? So those are my habits, and they're healthy habits for success. You cannot do it alone. They say if you want to go alone, you can go alone, but it'll be lonely. But it will be lonely when you meet that threshold, because those that don't want to do the extra mile, that's a millionaire mindset. However, if you take your group with you, it'll go faster. But you have to outwork them, and that's when you end up doing the 4-minute mile by yourself, because you want to reach the summit, and most don't have the adrenaline or the impact to do that, but you do. So that would be some of my tips, that if you want to emulate or be like someone that you admire or inspire, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang with. So if you hang with people that watch TV all day and Netflix and binge, that is exactly the mindset that you will have. If you are hanging with people that like adventure and want to do fun things, travel, that is the inspiration that you'll get. That's also the education that you'll get. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, but I know what is right for me. I'm now 48 years old. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for the second opportunity. When I passed away, when I was in the hospital and I saw heaven, I swam for hours and hours, days and days, through fish, coral, those beautiful things. When I reached heaven, I met my husband's brother, who I never met in my life. Bobby was 2 years old. My husband was just born. So my husband never met Bobby either.
Oh, wow.
Bobby received me before the heaven's gate. And he never walked behind me or in front of me. He always walked beside me. And he received me to hold me until my husband was ready, or whoever else I'm supposed to meet up in heaven. But while I was there, I saw trees and leaves and beautiful flowers and children happy as can be. And my mother-in-law, who worked for hospice for over 30 years, said to me, what did Bobby look like? And I said, well, he doesn't look like a baby anymore. And she says, well, how old did he look? And I said, he looked like a 30-year-old man.
Oh, wow.
And of all the years I could pick, because my husband's in his 50s, and Bobby's older than my husband, I could have said he's 56, but I said he was 30. And she says, I believe you. And I said, why? I said, I wouldn't have made it up. And she says, well, Jesus Christ died at 33. So you either grow up to be in your 30s, or if you're old, you grow back to be 30. And if you're young, you grow up to be in your 30s.
Oh,
33,
wow.
I think it is.
That's so
I didn't know
beautiful.
that. And so she taught me that lesson. And I spoke to others that had the same dreams, and I had conversations, and I could see from heaven down to earth. The people that were up there were happy. They were beautiful. They were young. They were vibrant. This is a happy, happy place. So know that whatever you're creating, know that you're empowering and inspiring people all over the world, either it's high or low. So do you. Be who you want to be. Become who you want to become. No one is the judge. There's only one judge, really. So it doesn't matter who you believe in, but I know that somebody you believe in, there's one. So
Wow, thank you so
I'm
much. This is so awesome. So
You're
amazing.
welcome.
I love hearing stories about heaven. This is
Hmm.
so amazing. We're Christians
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah. And
now
there
I
is a
get to
gate.
think
There is
about
really a gate. So
like what
just,
it would look like. But you didn't stay
there's a
there. I
gate.
mean, it would have been good to stay there too, but I'm thankful that you're also back with us.
Yeah. There is a gate. It is gold.
Oh
And
wow.
it is a beautiful gate, very beautiful. And there are people on both sides of the gate waiting, either on one side playing or the other side waiting. There is the side I was on was the waiting side. So there is a gate and there are people there.
Wow.
And there's lots, many people on both sides. So yeah, so that was my experience with
Wow.
death. Um, and so my purpose um, is more purposeful, um, more passion, more empathy. Um, I don't have all the answers, Jen. I really don't. I just know that I'm going to do the right thing. That's what's leading me to the right answers, just doing the right thing. And that's pretty much it.
That's so awesome. Well, I love your tip about the 5 people. I think we should hang out more.
Yeah, yeah,
We should
you
hang
are
out
the
more
sum
so
of
I
the
can
five people that you
I
hang
would
out with.
yeah, I need to rub off more from all you all your wisdom. Well,
I would
thank
love
you,
that.
Maya. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please subscribe and like this video, share with your friends. As you know, COVID is still very serious. So please spread the word about getting vaccinated and social distancing. Hope you stay safe and healthy. See you next time.